is the interpretation of law of karma. So of course, everyone knows that it is cause, effect, and the consequence and all that, whatever you do or you think, right? So ultimately, you have to face the consequences of your thinking as well as acting, right? So this is the, in principle, the law of karma. Do not confuse it with the karma yoga. Karma yoga is different. Law of karma is different. Law of karma talks about cause and effect, right? So the thinking and action will have the consequence, right? So this is law of karma. Now, what I personally believe, right? So means I honestly don't remember whether I have read it somewhere and all that, but means somehow I have formed this particular belief system without a data or a great information. That is, every one of us has one handa. Handa means a bucket, one bucket, and that bucket has a suffering as well as pleasure, right? So of course, the intensity might change from the person to person and based on your karma and your life and your evaluation, right? So I'm not talking about that. But whatever is that intensity, every person with that particular, life quality has a fixed amount of suffering and the fixed amount of pleasure, happiness, or whatever you call it as emotions which are pleasurable, and here it is a suffering. Now, but there is a trick in this particular concept. There's a trick. The trick is, the earlier you complete the suffering, right, the suffering, the quota of the suffering reduces. Earlier you face your suffering, the suffering goes down at a good speed, and there is a flex in this particular suffering and pleasure, and then the pleasure quota enhances. So at the start, it is, say, hypothetically 50-50% in our life. But if you try to accept suffering, right, as early as possible, automatically the intensity of that particular suffering goes down. Why? Because it depends on your psychology. You don't think it as a suffering because you are embracing that particular suffering, and because of that you feel that the quota is going down. So there is another theory for that. What I'm trying to say here, but if you don't accept that particular suffering, when the suffering is facing you and you avoid that suffering, the suffering quota increases and the pleasure quota goes down. So my theory is, right, my version of the law of karma is, or my version of this quota system is, it is always better to suffer unpleasant things as early as possible. That enhances your intensity as well as the quota of good things in life. But precisely, we do reverse. We try to avoid sufferings, avoid unpleasant things in our life as far as possible without realizing its implication, because we don't know this quota system, right? Nobody has taught us that there is a quota system, right? Without realizing its implication, and now because you have not accepted it, it enlarges, its intensity increases, and because your handa, your bucket has the same size, because this increases, automatically the pleasure has to go down because the space in the bucket is limited. So this is the science, this is the theory, right? So you might not find it anywhere, but this is my experience, right? So with that experience I am talking. I mean, this is not my some philosophy. So this brings me to the self-control. Like in this particular video, I really like that particular video, like Swami Mukundanand has explained it rightly. That is, when you are controlling now, you are increasing the goodness in your life later. If you are not controlling now, you are increasing the suffering and the difficulties, right? So means for example, right now the difficulty level is say 3 out of 10, and you are not accepting that particular difficulty. You are shying away from that particular difficulty or the unpleasantness. It increases to 4 automatically. You don't know it. It resurfaces in your life with the intensity of 5. Earlier, the intensity was 3. You had an opportunity to embrace that suffering, but you have avoided it. Now, in a different circumstances, it now comes in your life 5 out of 10. Again, unfortunately, if you don't embrace it, it comes 7 or 8 out of 10, and finally 10 out of 10. So there is no rescue from the suffering. The quota system is there, but now that particular bucket, there is a fixed quota, and now because your suffering intensity and the quota will get enlarged, compressing your quota of good things in life or the pleasure in life. I'm not saying pleasure is essentially good. So this is the reason I'm using both the words, the good and pleasure. Sometimes pleasure can be good, sometimes pleasure may not be good, right? So just say the goodness in life instead of pleasure, say the goodness in life, maybe. So when you have this particular urge, believe in this particular principle. Of course, you can't believe it unless you experience it. I know it, but still, on the uh, paucity of the time, I can only say that you believe this principle. If you believe this principle, when there is any suffering, you now know the technique. You now know the wisdom. What is the wisdom? If I don't accept this suffering now or the problem now in my life, maybe under totally different circumstances, I don't know, not necessarily the situation has to be related situation. From some different situation, I have to face more suffering, more intensity, more bad thing. So it is better that I embrace this particular badness or unpleasantness right now and take the solution right now, control myself right now, discipline myself right now. So this is the philosophy and the wisdom of life. If you understand this, if you believe this, and if you implement this, you are set. Why? Because already you have a quota. Already you have a quota system. That quota system already has goodness and the pleasure in it, happiness in it, bliss in it. Already every human being. Otherwise, you would not have come to the human being birth. You might have taken some different birth because you are having a human birth, which is a very elite thing in the universe. That means you have this particular quota with you. But we imbalance this particular quota by trying to avoid things, run away, not control, no self-discipline, and increase our suffering. So the everything is in our hand. There is no one controlling your day-to-day activity. For example, means if few of you believe in God, Arey Baba, if the God has to manage this particular world, do you think that a good leader, a extraordinary leader like God, who has so many activities to manage, can be a micromanager? Do you think that that particular God has to manage your day-to-day activities? It is foolish to think that, right? So it is, you are empowered. What God has given you, God has given you the quota. Bhaiya, take this quota and do now. You are empowered to use this quota the way you want to use this quota. And we are not using that quota systematically. You are not following the process of utilizing that quota. So this is the secret. This is the secret. If you understand this secret, you are done. Accept the suffering. In the first instance, accept the suffering and work on it. And you will find that not only your power to accept suffering will increase in future. Because of this attitude, the intensity of the suffering what you feel will be less. Why? Because now you are hit treating yourself, and then you will and then the suffering thing intensity, it will shrunk, and then automatically you will experience more bliss and more happiness in your life. So this is the secret what I am sharing with you.